Like the beam in your jack-o'-lantern, that is. It's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdiest things for 30-ish minutes, now entering the spookiest of all seasons. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. The Critic's Choice. With me, as always, my faithful co-host, People's Champ, Tim Keck.
This week, we're talking about A Haunting in Venice.
Oh.
Ooh. We're going through Agatha Christie movies in descending order. They are not getting better. If you haven't seen it, the world's greatest detective, Hercule Poirot, the guy with the mustache, is tempted out of self-imposed exile by Tina Fey, reprising her character from 30 Rock, to prove that Michelle Yeoh who's pretending to be a psychic, is a fraud. Hercule goes, they have a seance, he exposes her immediately. Michelle Yeoh is like, I'm actually a psychic, you're never going to see me again, and promptly murdered. She's dead. And now it's a mystery. He locks everyone in this weird haunted house that they've been hanging out in, and it's up to him to solve the case. Kevin, what did you think of this movie, A Haunting in Venice?
Oh, it was okay. This was exactly, right down the barrel, exactly what I thought it was going to be. We saw it in an Alamo Draft House on a really rainy Sunday afternoon after an entire rainy weekend. It was a great way to kick off very mildly spooky movies. How about you? What'd you think?
I like these movies a lot. Death on the Murder on the Orient Express. Mm-hmm. Obviously the best one, the most stacked cast. Very relaxing, I think, honestly. Death on the Nile is another one. Less stacked cast, not as good, but still pretty fun. These are like my ideal sick day movies. If I'm not feeling great and I want to just relax and like not think too much, because it seems like there's no real way for you to actually solve these cases most of the time. But you can kind of feel smart because at the end they explain everything and they're all like, it's basically like a bunch of fun actors and goofy characters delivering monologues. There's something about it that's very peaceful. And it was kind of fitting for the Alamo Draft House where like people are eating and you're drinking food and waitresses are walking by. It kind of reminded me of home,
Yeah, like, just drinking food at home.
Drinking some food at home, watching A Haunting in Venice. I like this movie. I think my biggest beef with it, Kevin, getting right into beefs, it's a lot trippier than the others because this one is scary. The other ones are mysteries. And there's an element of Michelle Yeoh. Is she really a psychic? Is there really a ghost? And they kind of leave you hanging at the end, even though it seems like it's also not true. And Hercule is tripping on drugs the whole time and hallucinating and seeing stuff that isn't there. So they kind of dismiss it all. I think if I'm sick, I don't really want to see him spinning around and trying to figure out like what is happening. I don't know if I want to deal with all this spookiness and mystery and like weird movement and shadows and stuff. I just don't know if it's relaxing enough to be in my sick day rotation, Kevin. That's my biggest concern with this movie.
Interesting. I think you're right. I think my biggest beef with it is the same beef, is that it, in a very chintzy way, is trying to skirt that line of, are there paranormal things or are there not paranormal things? And as a person who is a absolute diehard fan of there being paranormal things explicitly in movies, I hate that line. I hate it. Pick a lane. My favorite part of this movie, I'll go straight into my biggest thief. My favorite part in this movie is when the first seance is happening. And I think there's like a spooky, like the typewriter thing happens. And Hercule is just like, nope, and marches right over the fireplace and pulls that kid out. I'm like, this is gonna fucking rip, dude. Like, if it had kept that same perspective the entire time, and anytime anything looked like, was that a ghost girl? If he just moved the door forward a little bit and it's like, no, there's an orphan hiding here. Like, I would adore that. And I kind of resent they didn't do it.
Now I'm trying to think about like how old these books are, because it feels kind of like Abbott and Costello. Did you ever watch those? Where like,
No,
they're
Alamo's
managing
playing some.
What?
I would love to go see it. Alamo is playing Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein on Halloween.
Oh, I see. I loved all those growing up. I got them all the time from like the Blockbuster, and they're just so like relaxing and fun. But Abbott and Costello are like two real human beings, and they're like, I don't know, managing a baseball team or like trying to do something. And then all of a sudden they're just hanging out with Frankenstein. And it feels like, what kind of a world is this? You know, like somehow it works and it's fun, but you're just kind of like conceding the point that these are basically cartoon characters. And each time they're dropped into a completely different movie. This is like a continued story in a continued world of where he solved a train murder and a Nile murder, I guess. And now he's in Venice and he's never encountered ghosts before. Ghosts are not a thing. And suddenly we're dealing with this haunted supernatural element, which I just feel like it's incredibly obvious that this is not haunted. Yeah. Like it can't be haunted. The world they've built isn't a world that is open to ghosts, in my opinion, from these movies. Maybe it's different in the books. Maybe in the books it is played a little more cartoonish. I mean, this guy has a mustache that takes up 2/3 of his face. Sure. So maybe he is a cartoon character who bounces around and solves a ghost story every once in a while. And then the next one, he's going to like find a lost submarine or like an emerald that, you know, opens a portal to a world full of wizards or like Narnia or something. Like maybe he just kind of does whatever he wants and you just drop him in and it happens. Abbott and Costello style, you know, maybe he's going to meet Frankenstein in the next one. But as far as the trend they've set with these movies, it's weird. It's a little weird. It feels out of place.
Well, especially because he's a detective. If there's something that's happening, if there's like these movies absolutely center around the fact that this guy knows everything. He is the world's greatest detective. So if we start playing in the supernatural, this is inherently a world with which he is not and cannot be familiar. And it kind of robs it of its fun because what's fun is him knowing all the things. It's exactly like you said, where you can kind of guess, but at the end of the day, it's going to rely on knowledge that we couldn't have known. Like we just rewatched Murder on the Orient Express and it's like, we couldn't have known this guy had this sister and this sister was like so-and-so's housekeeper. Like, I mean, I do not think there's enough in the movie to actually construct that. And like in the BBC's Sherlock reboot from the 2010s with Benedict Cumberbatch, he's pulling all this shit where it's like, oh, of course it was you. You have a bunch of scrapes all over the charging port of your phone, which means you're a drunk because only a drunk would miss the charging point that many times. Yes. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's dark, but like in the context of the narrative, he's always got to be correct. So yeah, the paranormal just kind of robs it of a certain something.
But they like showed you the phone. And they just passed over it and you didn't think anything was significant of it. But then when he's like, actually, that phone you saw, something about that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I did notice the scrap. And I didn't. Yeah. I'm out of my mind. I have a cold. I'm like a week into COVID when I'm watching this. And having a great time. And I'm like, oh, man, I solved it. You know, I know who got, you know, Gal Gadot or whoever. Gal Gadot to Michelle Yeoh. It's a bummer she's not in this movie more. I would love to see her more. She's the first one out, first death. I don't know. I was a little torn, honestly. I kind of wanted more of her. It's a cool death. It is kind of neat, but I don't know. I was kind of bummed to see Michelle Yeoh go. It seemed like she was, I don't know, having the most fun maybe of the people here.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I really liked her. I thought the way that it might be going, that I was really excited to see, is that she was also a very, very good detective. She was just using the skills to pull these fake seances on people, because he mentioned you had this information about this person. How'd you possibly know all this information about this person and about me? I thought it'd be really cool if it was kind of like a Sherlock Holmes and Irene Adler situation where they're kind of like circling each other and they both have very similar skills, but she's decided to be devious with hers.
That would be amazing. And it felt like they kind of did that thing with Tina Fey, who is playing an author who wrote books based on Hercule Poirot's exploits, but done up as a character. It sounds like she just wrote books about Hercule Poirot and the books sold well because his mysteries were interesting. And then he got more famous. And so she's like feeding into him. And ultimately she's trying to use him to do something interesting so she can write a book about it and sell it. It feels pretty convoluted. It's also mean that she's like, we aren't friends after all this stuff. Like, why are you so heartless about this? It's her tone in this. Tina Fey, very funny.
Yeah.
You made a good point about her acting where it doesn't reach her eyes, which I feel like is just a pretty fair criticism of a lot of actors. And you think about the tone of 30 Rock, it seems like that tone really caters to Tina Fey's acting style and her comedic delivery, and it makes sense. And I feel like that's just kind of who Tina Fey is. And then for better or worse, you're getting this Tina Fey, and you're getting Tina Fey, you're getting Liz Lemon in this movie, just with an accent and, you know, kind of being meaner than usual, I guess. Did you find her off-putting, or like, was it weird having Tina Fey there? This is the only movie in a movie that's had a series of stars, tons of famous people. This is the only one where I was like, oh, and Tina Fey is here, you know, like everyone else who was even in the first movie. They've got Daisy Ridley, Judi Dench, Penelope Cruz, William Dafoe, Josh Gad. And this is the first one where I'm like, oh, and Tina Fey. It's like Paul Rudd being an Avenger. You're like, we have this awesome cast and Tina Fey. You know, it's like, well, Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. You know?
Yeah, you're like, oh, cool. Here's a great scene with Clint Barton and Paul Rudd. Yeah, it's really weird. She's a really weird miss, obviously. Like, I think Tina Fey is super funny. I don't know that I think this character is Liz Lemon in the same way, though, because Liz Lemon and her character from Mean Girls, and to a certain extent what she was doing on Weekend Update, it's very sardonic. Again, it's very grounded. She's the voice of reason. And I mean, I shouldn't say she's always the voice of reason in 30 Rock. Liz Lemon certainly has like very heightened character moments. But this author that she's playing in this movie, I wonder if it's just the act of having to do that like transatlantic accent, because something seemed to kind of like put her in a place where she's, I think, like overreaching a little bit in it. I mean, everybody's like Kenneth Branagh for all these movies seems like he's directing everybody to do like an extremely heightened thing. Like it's very melodramatic from everyone.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, I do think it's the eyes. I noticed that like she doesn't seem to like emote as much with her eyes in this. And it's weird. I love Tina Fey, but yeah, it was strange that she kind of took me out of the movie.
Yeah, it's weird in here. I was trying to, you know, I was instantly thinking of Gal Gadot, where like, I don't know if anyone says Gal Gadot is an amazing actor, but in Death on the Nile, I think she's great. She's awesome. She's like charismatic. It's like over the top. She's so charming and incredible. And she just fits that world so well. And there's no doubt in my mind that she's there, that she shouldn't be there. I mean, she blends in seamlessly. And yeah, the Tina Fey is just like trying to act offended when she's found out. I don't know. It was it's the weirdest performance in the whole thing. Kelly Riley, though, the mom, the ultimate. What'd you think of the mom twist, for one?
I dug it. I did. This one, too. It got me with exactly what you said, where in the movie, I thought I'd solved it. We got the character detail that Tina Fey only eats apples before dinner. And then later on, the guy who looks kind of like Josh Hartnett cut his thumb and put some honey on it as an antiseptic and licked his thumb and said, that's not wildflower honey, which is the honey that we found out that the bees had been making at the house. And as soon as that happened, my brain snapped in and I was like, oh my God, this is my Sherlock moment. Bees. What other things? When we went apple picking last year, there were a lot of bees. What if it's apple blossom honey? Tina Fey knew where to get the tea when she was in the house because she's been in the house before. She's working with the mom. She was writing a piece about the mom, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, no, none of that was accurate. So
I'm sure that's design, though. It's definitely design. And the mom twist, yeah, I mean, it's about the honey, and she has an offhand line about the honey, and she planted it or whatever there. And the fact that she it's also fun when they're like, yeah, and she just ripped out the whole garden, and people like just describe. It's like when somebody's describing like their violent childhood, but in like a mundane way, where they're like, "This is normal to me," you know, like, yeah. And so like, Dad smashed the TV because the Patriots lost, and threw some stuff at us, and then we went out for ice cream the next day, and he was completely fine. It's just kind of the way we are. It was like, yeah, this woman just ripped out the garden, but but they deliver it like, it's casual. It's just what happens. The Patriots lost. She ripped up the garden and she replanted it with this poisonous flower that she's using to poison her daughter. I mean, it's great. I feel like the twist is great in this. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I thought
Kevin,
the mom was exceptionally good in this.
So good.
She's perfectly awesome. Suited to this style.
What was your favorite room in the house, and why was it the underground boat slip where they like do all these reveals? Because that was awesome. So cool. So what a cool setting for this whole thing. I really liked underground boat slip. I gotta say, the one that takes it for me though is soundproof music room, which I believe is the same room that has the phone hidden inside of the globe. Great detail. Yes, I think so.
Incredible detail.
The hidden phone that someone knows is there. So fun. So cool. I mean, these movies are great. I love a mystery. There aren't enough good mysteries out there, I guess.
No, nothing would make me happier than if there were 7 more of these.
Me too. I want them all. I want them all. Kenneth Branagh is awesome. I hope he just keeps churning these out. They're great. They're very fun. I will watch them all. I will, hang out with kids with chicken pox just so I have an excuse to stay home and watch these movies. I've already had chicken pox. I'm immune. I'm going to need a new disease. I'm going to be just like I'm going to be licking stuff on the subway just to make sure I got time to watch all the Hercule Poirot movies.
Oh, for sure.
I think maybe my thief, which is completely out of left field from what we're talking about. Speaking of locations, the shots, like just the drone shots of Venice at the end, well, the movie ended and they're doing the credits and I just kept staring at the screen like, this is beautiful. This is like the most incredible. The city's beautiful. I mean, it's the golden hour, all the different rooftops. You see how close everything is. You see all the canals. It looks incredible. It looks magical. They're doing like a little monologue on the roof so you can see the people moving around. That might have been my favorite part of the movie. Honestly, I could have watched more drone footage of Kenneth Branagh like pretending to have a conversation on a rooftop from incredibly far away, and it'd be very peaceful and nice.
Man, I'm right there with you. So pretty. I really liked, you mentioned that final shot of him solving the case on a rooftop. It's great. I mean, what if your home office was a rooftop in a beautiful city?
Incredible. That is kind of the funny thing about Hercule too, is that he is so, it seems like he's insanely well off. He is so hoity-toity and up his own ass. He's eating like the daintiest cakes. I mean, his rider is ridiculous. Like this guy has, it's not green M&Ms. It's like chocolate imported from another country that he needs to have in this green room before he, plays the venue or whatever it is. Like he's wild. It's all over the place.
Have you been listening to the Strike Force 5 podcast at all with the late night hosts?
Yes, I have.
Did you?
Especially the Jon Stewart one. It's great.
Oh, it's wonderful. Is that the same one where they talk about the Van Halen rider where the guy's just stocking his wine cabinet? Amazing.
So funny. Such a good idea. I want a rider, Kevin. We got to go on tour, do some live shows so I can, taste wine for the first time.
Dude, I can't wait.
Kevin, the great Jimmy Valvano said, to me, there are 3 things everyone should do every day. Number 1 is laugh. Number 2 is think. Spend time and thought. Number 3, you should have your emotions move you to tears. If you laugh, think, and cry, that's a heck of a day. Kevin Bauer. Was Haunting in Venice a good day?
By Jimmy V's standards, no, it was not. I thought
this is a heck of a day.
I don't know. It's quite of a heck of a day.
Is this the best movie to be doing this bit in for the first time?
I think it's a horrible one. Honestly, we should have done this for the first time with Expendables. Because
Great.
Expendables, unlikely, absolutely clear heck of a day candidate.
Incredible.
The audience was shocked. I don't even want to reveal the shock death at the beginning of the movie, because if you somehow are listening to our Haunting in Venice pod, but really still meaning to get out to the theaters to see the Expendables 4, I don't want to ruin that for you, but we did all three. Haunting in Venice. Yeah, I thought, did you laugh? Did we have there was, I think, one laugh moment at the theater, right?
Tina Fey had some good lines, I think. She had some self-aware stuff, maybe.
Maybe a crack about the mustache?
Maybe about the mustache. I feel like I laughed once or twice, but maybe I didn't.
What about crying? Did the reveal move you to tears? Did the prospect of these two kids, these two grifters making it to Missouri, did that move you to tears?
Yeah. I mean, my eyes were teary because I was rubbing them to try and sober myself up from how dizzy I felt watching all this haunting stuff. I mean, all the turning around. I mean, it was just a weird haunting vibe that I did not find chill at all. The kid was weird. His dad died.
Oh, let's talk kid.
For a moment, I was sad. Just like the kid whose father died, I was sad for a moment and then quickly moved on. It was not a big deal for me.
Wow. I think that kid had reached a level of maturity where he knew that this was a relief for his father.
That's so devastatingly sad. I mean, this kid is a full-grown adult, and he is like 10 years old, and his father has like PTSD, and he is just freaking out every 5 seconds, and the son has to hold his hand and calm him down and get him water. How'd this even start? Like, where's the mom? When did this become his responsibility? I mean, I don't know. Talk about our sponsor today, BetterHelp. If you're looking to get into a laptop, could have saved a life.
Man, this kid, he's like when you fantasize about if you could like New Game Plus your life. Like if you could just go back and like relive your childhood, use all that free time you had for something constructive, but with the consciousness of a 30-year-old. But it usually takes a while for you to realize like, oh, that would be hell. Like it would be absolutely hellish to be trapped in a 10-year-old's body right now. That's this kid's entire existence. He's talking about the ghosts he's seeing in this house. He's just remembering the friendships that he had in the first version of his life. What was the deal with the ghost stuff? Was he just legit like acting out for attention? Like the entire movie, he's talking about how he can see the ghosts in the house. And there's that moment where he does the Michelle Yeoh listening thing and then says, wait, and the phone rings. We never get any kind of an actual conclusion on how he knew that was going to happen or like what his motivation was for pretending to be a medium.
Yeah, he probably has PTSD from his father's PTSD.
Sure.
And so he's just like hallucinating and off to have like a sad life. And this other woman also adopts him seamlessly. Was she like looking for a kid? Was there any story about her, I don't know, trying to raise a boy? Does she even know this kid? Like, did they have a relationship? It didn't seem like a close one necessarily.
No, this wrap up was fucking ridiculous, even by this series standards. He's got, a fortune. This kid has a fortune on him. And Hercule is just like, yep. And you're going to take that fortune and you're going to give it to these two strangers and have fun. Like, it's really like a judge, jury, and executioner thing.
Wait, where was he getting the money from again? Oh, because the child was blackmailing the wife, the mom. Wow. Yeah, I forgot. That's crazy. Everyone in there I do like about these things is like you solve the mystery, but then everyone else is doing like sketchy stuff. Like every one of these characters is a mess and they're all devious and they're all lying about something. I think you do a good job of that in all the movies. Every character has something to hide and is not telling the whole truth. And, it makes common sense that would be like an interesting way to do it. But But it seems nice. It seems
great.
good. Kevin, is there anybody that you really want, any actors that you really want to see in these movies at some point that you think would be a blast and like fit the tone? I know I'm catching you out of left field with this, but
yeah, no, I'm ready to go.
I'm just re-looking at my Expendables 4 candidates list, seeing if any of these would work.
Sure,
yeah, if we get
slap John Cena in here.
Yeah, if we get Batista in here, like, how do you think that works? Is that a smooth?
Batista would probably knock it out of the park. I think he'd do very well in one of these.
Batista would be good.
He's a versatile
Emily
guy.
Blunt would be way too big for it.
She'd be great.
Emily Blunt.
See, that's what I was going to pitch. I want to return to form. We've kind of found the boundary of where these movies can go. You know, Death on the Nile found the boundary of how much green screen you can use in one of these. And Haunting in Venice found the boundary of how many Dutch angles you can put into one movie. So I want to like come back to center, just do a prestige movie with a very basic murder at the center and an absolutely fucking loaded cast. I'm talking Toni Collette. I'm talking Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
I would love to see what's the dude that played Finn in Star Wars? We've seen him in a couple other things.
John Boyega?
Yeah, I would love to see John Boyega on one of these. Oh,
John Boyega would be great in this too. He'd be awesome. Yeah, I mean, three people I mentioned on the Expendables pod: Angelina Jolie, Emily Blunt, Tom Hardy. I feel like those are the real carryovers from this list. Like any one of them would destroy in this. God, Angelina Jolie in one of these would be. Why? I guess I just want to see Angelina Jolie again. What's she up to? Taking her kid to concerts, dancing to Taylor Swift. It's cute, but like, make a movie, please.
Yeah, come on, get back on the horse with one of these. We could do. Yeah. I'm talking J.K. Simmons. One of
these. J.K. Simmons would be a lot of fun.
Give me a little Paul Giamatti. No, not Paul Giamatti.
No, I think it's great. It's just kind of. It made me think that there are so many options for this. It feels like there's so many fun actors to do this, and they go with like, I don't know, Dorian Gray and the. I feel like these must be famous people somewhere, and we're just, people are listening to this and screaming that we don't know who like the brother sister step duo is. But man, they did nothing for me, and what are they good for? Not a damn thing in my book, Kevin.
Yeah, I got one last one that I think is like inspired, and I desperately want her to be in one of these. Sandra Oh, please. Please put her in one.
That's really good. That's really good. It'd be easy for her to do, I feel like, man.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about like the entire cast of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle Yeoh was already in this, but I think you could pluck anyone from that cast. Get a Jamie Lee Curtis, get the daughter, get the guy who's like the main dude in that. It'd be fun to have him in this, I think. He'd be great. What is it? What is like the tier exactly? I feel like we're locked in, but
Judi Dench.
Judi Dench is good. It's just like a weird, like a little bit of a chillness, I feel like. Just like kind of normal elevated actors. I don't know what it is. We have to think about it. Honestly, if we're doing our rankings, we're looking for solids.
Sure.
I feel like all these people are solid, borderline prestigious. Kevin, A Haunting in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, better or worse than Cocaine Bear?
Cocaine Bear is a bottom half movie, right? I think this is better than that.
You think it's better than Cocaine Bear? It's a fun whiff is Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse than Air?
I think it's like real close. This was a very middle movie for me. What do you think? Do you think it's better or worse?
I think it's below Air. I kind of liked Meg 2 more. Is it better or worse than Creed?
Oh, it's definitely better than Creed. I liked it more than Meg 2, personally. Sue me.
I will. It's going between Creed and Meg 2. I think Meg 2 was like really, really fun for part of it. Meg 2 to me feels like it's 30 minutes away from being like just a fun, cool movie. And I don't know if anything in this movie was as fun as the fun parts of Meg 2. But maybe I'm too fond of it.
I don't know that it hits the heights that Creed hits either, but Creed and Meg 2, the sin for both those movies, they're very uneven movies. And I think this one is very solid at what it is. Now, I don't know that I would say solid for the movie. I would almost say prestigious for all of these movies.
Yeah.
Or maybe like solid,
I'm
fine.
It's going above Meg 2, and I think it could be prestigious. Like these feel like kind of prestigious movies, right? They're like books. It's like hoity-toity. It feels elevated. I could follow you in prestigious.
Yeah. What do you think? Like,
you think
prestigious?
So?
Okay.
Yeah, this one's probably just okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
The other ones I would say are good.
Like, yeah, same here.
This one was okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's okay.
Cool. It was all right. It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
All right. Well, on that okay note, Kevin, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's all I got. How about you?
I don't have anything else to say about this movie. I mean, it is what it is. It may or may not make sick day. You know, you can also just wait till it comes out on Netflix and then crush it when you have, I don't know, Mad Cow or whatever the next fad is going to be.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can't wait until 2025 when we're all just obsessed with Mad Cow. We left it all on the court on this one. Let us know what you thought of this movie, nerdy430@gmail.com. We will be back here again next week. Tim, do you want to do The Exorcist Believer first, or do you want to take it back to the old school and do the original Exorcist first before we talk Believer?
Ooh, I don't know, but if the fans feel strongly about it, you can let us know and maybe we'll do that. I don't know, man. I'm so excited about the new one. I feel like the old one is maybe too old, a little underwhelming at this point, maybe, but who knows? I'm going in with an open mind, and the new one is going to be great. It's going to be above the Air Meridian for sure.
Here's hoping. Here is hoping. We will see. And until then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy. Bye.